a nutshell, dissing Tupac Shakur. So once again, in a nutshell, he was dissing Tupac, 20 years after the man has been dead and gone. He was dissing Tupac. I don't know why it came up once again, and I should have looked this up. But Jeff talked about it on the show yesterday, and if you want to get the details, you didn't hear Jeff's show yesterday, go back and listen to it. All of the shows that we do on WSME are podcasts. And so you can go back and listen to it anytime you want. But in effect, what Funkmaster Flex was saying is that Biggie Smalls wouldn't have died if Tupac didn't go around and telling these lies about how Biggie and Puffy set him up to get shot. When he got shot, remember he got shot like 5 times. He rapped about it many times. Coming out of these studios in New York City, was it Quad City Studios in New York City, and Tupac contends that Biggie and Puffy and I guess the Bad Boy family or whatever set him up. And Flex is saying that's a lie, it never happened, and Tupac know it didn't happen. And Tupac, basically putting it out there that they set him up, basically put a target on Biggie's back. Thus, Biggie eventually got killed and died. And, Funkmaster Flex went on. He started crying. He was, emotional, like he's having a mental breakdown or something, talking about how the reason Biggie is dead because of Tupac. I don't think you should bring that type of shit back up. Let that go. Yeah, you need to let that go. There's no need, and I apologize. I don't know why this issue was brought back up. What, Tupac died in 1994? He's been gone for a long, long time. I don't know what's the reason, and somebody can tell me in the chat room on Spreaker.com why this was even brought up on, May 8th. I think yesterday was May 8th or whenever it was recorded. I think it was recorded a couple days ago. Why would you bring that up in 2017? And I mean, if you're a greenhorn, if you're a young person and you hear about and you read stories online about what went on in the early mid-90s between the East Coast and the West Coast, man, it's hard for me to explain it to you. It's hard for me to make you understand because it's so silly. At the end of the day, it's so silly that the 2 biggest stars in the genre died because of this alleged East Coast, West Coast thing. Nobody owns, no land to call, we own the East Coast and the West Coast. But literally, there was a music industry beef between the East Coast and the West Coast, and it all started because of, some people say, a misunderstanding. Some people said it was no damn misunderstanding. A lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, Death Row versus Bad Boy. It's so silly to talk about now. It's so silly to talk about now. Okay, so I see a couple of people in the chat room, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I see a couple of people in the chat room saying the reason why it came up is because Tupac's movie, the movie on Tupac, I guess you call it a biopic, is coming out next month. All right, so somehow that led into the conversation. And so the whole thing, man, when you really think about it, I think about it like this. Imagine if you're a young person and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. If you're a young person and you're into this mumble rap today in 2017, or I don't even know who the biggest mumble rappers are. All right, let's just say 4 or 5 years ago before mumble rap really got going. Say today, Drake, all right, you know how big Drake is. So the 2 biggest rap artists today are probably, I'm going before the mumble rappers because, once again, I don't know who most of the mumble rappers are. So say Drake 5 years ago or 4 years ago, Drake on the West Coast, being the biggest rapper from the West Coast, selling the most records in hip-hop, has a beef with Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne is on the East Coast and Drake is on the West Coast. The 2 biggest rappers in the industry today, all right? The 2 biggest rappers, 1 and 2. You can really debate which one is 1, which one is 2. They vice versa. They so damn big. I mean, they're so orca big at the time. All right? And this comparison, this analogy is Tupac and Biggie. So Drake on the West Coast, even though Drake is from Canada, let's just, for the purpose of this conversation, let's just say Drake is from the West Coast. So you got Drake, rapper 1 on the West Coast, and Lil Wayne, rapper 2 on the East Coast, and eventually, because of some war of words, they eventually end up dead. And the reason why they die is in large part because of a war of words between each other. That's right. They end up dead. That's exactly what happened with Tupac and Biggie. The 2 biggest stars in the industry ended up dead over some bullshit. Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. And Funkmaster Flex brought this back up, and I know I'm spending too much time on this. We're going to get to the sports here in a second and into all of the fun that we normally do around here. But for this guy to bring it up, and you have to watch the video. He does a video, and the choice cuts from the video is basically saying that Biggie had nothing to do with it. And he contends, which I didn't understand this part of it at all. He contends that Tupac shot himself, kind of like Cheddar Bob did in 8 Mile when Tupac was coming out of these studios or whatever. These guys were about to rush up on him, and he had a gun on him, and he tried to pull a gun out to defend himself, and he shot himself. That doesn't make sense because officials say that the man got shot 5 times. I don't understand that. Is he saying that Tupac shot himself and then other dudes shot him 4 other times? He said that Tupac shot himself. What? Why? Why would you bring this shit back up? Because listen, as ridiculous as it sounds, a lot of them cats from that era are still, on Earth. And it's kind of died down a little bit. Bad pun. No pun intended. It's died down a little bit, man. A lot of bit over the last 20 years. But, I remember at the time when Biggie, and they used to talk about going to the West Coast and how they used to have to fear for their life. And ultimately, Biggie ended up dying on the West Coast. And it was this thing about the West Coast rappers coming to New York and how they had to watch and protect and watch out that they don't get jumped or assaulted or whatever. And so a lot of them old cats, they got some gray hairs now, man, but they're still around. And Funkmaster Flex, I would think he does business on the West Coast. Like, you don't talk about Tupac and go to the West Coast. I mean, the man's like a god. And his brand and his legacy and his legend has grown even more in his death. So a lot of the little kids that when Tupac died are now in their late teens or their early 20s or whatever, man. Hey, ninjas are silly, man. I don't think that was a good move by Funkmaster Flex, period. Yeah, I don't think that was a good move, man. And I don't have anything against Funkmaster Flex. I really don't know a lot about him. I know that he's one of the bigger names as far as DJs in the hip-hop industry. It has been for a very long time. I know he's from New York. That's about it. But, I mean, I just don't think that was a good thing. Very intriguing, man. I cannot wait to see the new Tupac movie. Despite what Funkmaster Flex say, I cannot wait to see it. I hope they do a good job with it. They did a fantastic job on the other side of things. Bad Boy did a fantastic job with Biggie Smalls' movie. So you got some big shoes to follow, or you have a lot of pressure on you to get it right. I guess the best way to say it in talking about a Tupac Shakur movie, man. Can't wait. I hope Funkmaster Flex, I hope this don't end up getting his ass shot. Yeah. Yeah, I hope he doesn't, find himself in the end of a barrel over some dumb shit that he didn't really have to bring up that I really don't think that he, has all of the details about, man. But anyway, today's big story in the world of sports, entertainment, and beyond is you see the title of today's show, Golden Boys. The Golden State Warriors advance to the Western Conference Finals after destroying the Utah Jazz 4-0. Yeah. As I said yesterday in yesterday's show, man, I mean, this thing is so anticlimactic. I mean, they just rolling. So the Warriors and the Cavaliers don't lose a game in the first round of the playoffs and the semifinals of the playoffs, both teams. I mean, on a crash course to the NBA championship to face each other for the third year in a row. We're going to get into this game. We're going to break it down, talk a little bit about what happened last night, talk about the series in general, man, as they just dominate. They just got too much. Steph Curry goes for 30 last night. Every time I start talking about this, the same words keep coming out of my mouth. They just got too much. Shit! They just got too much. They just got too much, man, and so, I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what this means for the playoffs and get ready for the next round where Cleveland's waiting on their opponent, either going to be Boston or the Washington Wizards. And Golden State's waiting on their opponent. Is either going to be Houston or San Antonio. Y'all know all of this. And we'll see what happens, man. I mean, maybe they lose a game at the max 2 in the next series. Maybe. Like, I don't even see how they would lose 2, but maybe Houston or San Antonio can beat Golden State. Probably 1 game, maybe 2. And I think, and I said this yesterday, if Boston makes it to the finals, if they somehow win this series, they don't win a damn game against Cleveland. I don't think they'll win 1 game. If the Wizards go, I think maybe the Wizards win 1. Maybe 2. You know? Maybe. But it's no contest, man. We getting ready for the NBA Finals. Cavs versus Warriors. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Yeah. So we'll get into it when we get back from the break. We'll also talk about Dwight Howard doing Dwight Howard things. Yeah. A failed experiment here in ATL with the Braves. Tony Romo falls short, and the rich get richer in Lexington, Kentucky. We'll talk about all those stories today. Once again, we are paying homage to the great Luke Skywalker, Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell today on the Doug Stewart Show. Yeah. We always play a lot of New York stuff. I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's kind of where hip-hop started. Every once in a while, we do some West Coast stuff, pay tribute to West Coast artists. I think this might be the first time we featured an artist, and fittingly so. It should be Uncle Luke coming from Miami. First time we featured an artist coming from the bottom. Yeah, so I'm excited. We're going to have some fun with this today. Back in 3 minutes, the Doug Stewart Show.
She got an attitude. I like the way she move with them baby fat shoes. I wanna see her with the lights on. It's dark in the club, plus the music too loud. I wanna know your damn name, not your damn drink. I'm a G, gentleman, I got range. She a little peach dancer and she go to Clark Atlanta. Maybe she be trapping on the block in your hood. Either way she bad, she got class. Everybody drop their drinks when she pass. She work a job, but she hustle inside. Anything trying to kill her, she can buy. I want her on my team, she my point guard. I love her cause she's soft and hard. Poetry. She poetry. your poetry.